In Iraq, that's the modern name for the ancient Babylonian Empire.
Yeah.
And that was the cradle of civilization.
Yeah.
We all learn in high school.
We've destroyed it.
The Tigris and the Euphrates rivers.
And the Hammurabi Code.
Yeah, that's where everything began so many thousands of years ago. And now our government has turned it into a nuclear wasteland.
A nuclear wasteland. I always said that's my word, radioactive wasteland for our children. I love Kurt Vonnegut's last book, which I can't remember the name of it, but I read it 2 or 3 times. There's a place in which he says, it seems as if nobody gives a damn whether the planet goes on or not. Everybody acts like they're members of Alcoholics Anonymous, living one day at a time, and nobody seems to dream about a world for their grandchildren.
Have you been watching the presidential debates?
No, I don't. I won't look at it. I just can't.
I saw Sarah Palin on TV the other day, and I think someone asked her about Armageddon, and are we is Christ going to come again and destroy the world?
You better have the suit on.
As I understood her answer to be was that yes, she expected it, and well, she didn't connect it directly with Iran, but let's project that she becomes. I mean, McCain is how old? He's in his 80s.
Oh, she'll be president.
There's a very good chance if he gets elected, she's going to be our president. And
well, they're all evil. Don't you know they're all evil? All those Muslims and God. It's all right to kill them. I think I heard her say that. You know, God is on our side. And they're all,
everybody says God is on their side. I remember during the Second World War that the Germans used to sing hymns and send their troops off with God is on their side. And the same thing in the Revolutionary War, the British did it. And everybody thinks God is on their side until they get killed.
The rich people.
God must be really confused.
Poor
about
God.
which side,
I heard somebody say
which side is she
on?
Yes.
The rich people.
If people can believe those myths, it seems to me that they have become, their minds have been destroyed so that they can believe anything. It's just
or justify any terrible things. Yeah.
That's the beginning of being set up for the propaganda that comes from the ruling class. And it begins. And there's a great movie called The Mission, involving 3 priests in South America setting up this native population to be taken over by the Spanish military, and then after the military, of course, comes the capitalists. If people don't see it, it's because they've been blinded by believing in this stuff.
Yeah.
That's all fables. It's like Aesop's fables, and people believe it. The big propaganda push that makes their brains addled, and they can, so that they're open for anything, any kind of nonsense.
I sort of wanted to go back to the Vermont Yankee thing because I know that a lot of people are saying, well, what can we do? You know, how can we replace it? 30% of our... Well, I've heard from a lot of people from VPIRG and places like that who really know that think if we just conserve through conservation and efficiency, we don't even need that 30%. And then, of course, there are all these other things that will contribute toward it, but they're not being subsidized. The things that are getting subsidized are nuclear and coal still. They're not putting anything into the wind and the sun. Oh, I love the thing. If somebody had discovered how to make weapons out of sunbeams, we would all have solar power. Isn't that great?
Imagine if they took that $700 billion and used it to develop hybrid, plug-in hybrid cars.
Yeah.
How much energy we could save, and we probably wouldn't even need the oil that we're fighting for over in Iraq.
Remember when we were up in Killington and we began to see how much power they must use at a ski area that size? Teeter decided they should have a law that they generate their own.
In the state of Vermont, As governor, I would ask that the legislature to ban the use of electricity from the grid to make snow. If you want to make snow, you better put up your own windmills and make snow, but you're not going to be allowed to use power off the grid. Which brings me to the nuclear proponents of the Vernon plant always say that it provides 30% of the power used in Vermont. And in a sense, that's true, because that doesn't go in directly into the grid, it goes directly into use in Vermont. But the amount that we use in terms of the whole New England grid is only 2 to 3% of the total power being generated on that grid. So it's really a minuscule amount that you would have to save turning off your light switches, using any energy efficient appliances and so forth. It would just take a tiny effort on people's part to reduce their consumption by 2 to 3%.
Or that small amount could easily be replaced with windmills.
That's right.
Easily.
It's really that same scare tactic that's always used, you know.
Well,
Oh, you'll be without 30% of your power. Well, that's not true. We won't be without 30% of our power. We would be not more than 3%, and that figure is when the power is at low ebb from some other source. But on average, it's between 2 and 3% of the grid, the power that's supplied to the grid. We could do without it and hardly ever notice it. It's another one of those lies from the people who own the capital and want to make profits. And that's where our socialist thread comes in when we say, no more production for profit, only production for need, and the major means of production and distribution are owned by the people directly in a cooperative way. And it doesn't have to be, I'm not talking about government ownership, I'm talking about community ownership. Like when I talked about the banks, there would be a central bank, and every other bank in the country would be a credit union where the members own the bank.
We have an example of that here with City Market. Mm-hmm. That's owned by, I'm a part owner of City Market, and many of the citizens in Burlington are owners.
Yeah, ultimately it seems to me that that's what socialism is more about than the pictures of socialism that have been created of government operations. It's not, for me, that government does it. It's what Deb says, you know, if I could lead you into paradise, somebody else can lead you out. Coming from above is not socialism. Socialism has to come from the soul of the people.